Hi, I'm Barney.
Hi, I'm Ken.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm the Token Southerner.
I'm Mono, and I think your third choice keeper should be on the bench.
I'm Luke, and I think he's talking rubbish.
And I'm Font, and I thought the argument would make a good podcast. This is Third Choice Keeper on the Bench.
Right, so is the plan today to sort of discuss the shenanigans of the Sunday?
Yeah, just everything that's happened, I think.
Okay, well, where do you want to start? Because I think you've got to either look at the top half of the European battle, which, to be fair, was a lot more exciting than I thought it would have been. Although it was disappointing the Europa started dropping away going into the last game.
I think the main talking point is Bournemouth suing.
I can't see it standing up. Yeah,
it's cost him.
It has.
It's cost him literally that one goal.
It has.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, they were crap through it the whole season. You can't blame it one.
I agree.
So were Villa.
But if that didn't happen, Bournemouth would have stayed up. Doesn't matter if they're crap.
I can't see it standing up.
I don't see the case getting anywhere. But
no.
Well, apparently they're not suing to stay in the league. They're just suing for compensation
for the fact they're going out the league. But they get
that anyway.
They get that anyway.
They get parachute payments. Yeah.
They would. They stand to have more money from being in the Premier League for another season. If they got relegated next year, they would still get that parachute payment and they get another year in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So that put Bournemouth up and Villa down.
No, other way around.
To the way.
Oh yeah, if
it went.
If the goal was given, yes, it's gone down to simply that goal, which must be an absolute nightmare.
If a goal would have been given in the first half of a match with about 7 games to go, then who knows what might have happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Under the International Football Association Board's laws, under match validity, the rulebook states that in principle a match is not invalidated because of malfunctioning of VAR technology, which would include the goal line technology. So they're not. Doesn't sound like they've got much of a case.
No.
What confuses me though is the fact that the VAR couldn't just tap on the referee's shoulder, figuratively speaking, and say that was a goal.
Yeah.
Because I know that's maybe not technically his job, but if the goal line technology has malfunctioned to that extent that it's obvious to everybody else.
Yeah. Isn't that his point, that they're meant to spot these incidents?
Yeah, the clear and obvious errors.
Yeah.
And it's, you had a replay 30 seconds later that's clearly showing it.
Because if you want to clarify exactly what VAR's there for, is to spot errors that referees might have missed, and that is one. Because if you're saying, you've got to wait until it's been referred to them, you need to check that, then that's not the case, because you wouldn't have got pens like the one that Arsenal got against Watford, where the referee was clearly shocked when VAR gave it.
Very soft.
I'd love to know what, let's say once Mike Dean had reviewed it on telly, would he have agreed with VAR? Or, because he's generally on the pitch, because obviously he's not seen a replay, he was generally supplied in his face line. It was given.
He just doesn't like being overturned, does he?
No. He's perfect.
It's an ego. He's an ego, isn't he?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think he'll accept, if he's got... But, I just generally think it'd be interesting if his view would have changed if he'd seen it himself, or he's generally like, well, hang on, I don't think it was a pen, I can't believe you've given that. But he's not going to come out and question them, is he? I just think, as a whole, I think as much as, I feel sorry for Bournemouth, that a decision like that does stand out as a decisive moment, it's not. There's so much more that's gone on that they've just not been good enough.
Well, what was the stat? They've conceded more than, is it 50 or 60 goals in
more than 60 goals
60 goals in 5 consecutive seasons. It's just like, and
the only thing that's kept them up is they've been scoring just as many there or thereabouts to keep them up. Whereas this year they've only scored 30 goals.
36, I think it was.
Yeah. And that's not good enough at the end of the day. Well, I think Villa probably are about the same though.
I did say scoring goals would never catch on, and you come home to roost for Bournemouth.
Yeah. So it is what it is, isn't it? But I'm disappointed. I would have liked to have seen Watford stay up.
Why?
It's a family thing. A family are from Watford.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, you can tell that's someone who's not going to go to an away game at Vicarage Road.
I've been to one game there. My granddad took me there. It was a long time ago. They beat Peterborough 2-1.
Villa stopping up at least ticks all the boxes for a good away day.
Well, it can't beat a trip back to the motherland.
What was Bournemouth like for an away day? Did you ever get round to doing it?
I did it. I even got lucky and managed to do it one season when we played them in May.
Oh, nice day for it.
Walk down, beautiful day for it. Walk down the front on the way to the ground. I needed to have done more pub research though.
Poor planning.
Yeah, amateur really.
You'll get there, mate, one day.
How's the pub planning going for next season?
Well, I'm going to wait till the fixtures come out and see which one there's half a chance of me being allowed to go to first.
Well, with West Brom coming up, you've got another chance of popping around the Midlands.
Yeah, West Brom's a decent away day as well, because you can go into Birmingham, same couple of pubs as Villa, and just get the train out.
Yeah.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
Boy,
Totally.
You get the train out and...
Yeah. Well, exactly. A few beers, where you go.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
The TARDIS home, yeah.
So, do you think it's been a satisfactory end?
In the way, what, in the bottom half, or just in general?
Just in general. Obviously, when we started this, we were all locked down, no sports. What's going to happen? Do we think it's been under the circumstances, probably the best outcome it could have been?
I think Luke's still trying to come in from another dimension.
A few months ago, when people were calling for null
I'm
and
still in the
void,
camp that I don't think this should have happened. But, it's money is the reason why it's continued. And no other reason.
it's why we didn't cancel it. They've kept it running. When they restarted it, I think it has been a good time to restart it. I don't think the rest of the country should be opening back up as much as it should have. But, if you can get live sport on a TV where, you look at the number of cases that the Premier League's had, it probably has been worth it in that sense. And like on the pitch, satisfactory would be probably what you'd say. You've got outcomes for all. Personally, as a Liverpool fan, I think when people are talking about an asterisk next to the league, I'd possibly go along with that, because our form since the restart just hasn't been anywhere near what I think we would have been.
Yeah, but at the same time, you'd won the league, so what's the point?
Well, we'd won the league, but
our form dip once we'd won.
Yeah.
But to the extent of what we did, I just don't think we would have had them performances had the league carried on.
It's interesting to think about. I'm not so sure, because I think once, particularly because Liverpool are out of other competitions, so actually once they'd won the league, the rest of it was like a cakewalk, really. And perhaps it would have been better actually to have been there with fans, because the atmosphere had just been a few parties at Anfield, and they were able to lift the trophy. But
that is a big thing for us, having the fans, which I know, Luke takes joy in Burnley taking some points off us, but would that have been different with a crowd? We were 1-0 up. The crowd kind of carries you most of the time.
I wonder whether, conversely, whether it was a benefit to Arsenal, actually, because particularly after the opening game and the calamity against Manchester City after the restart, you can imagine coming back to the Emirates on the back of that performance and how miserable the crowd would have been. And actually, we ground out a few results and actually played a bit of decent football. By the time we got to the playing Liverpool and then the FA Cup semi-final, we were playing really well. And I sometimes wonder whether the Arsenal crowd is a bit of a hindrance, because we don't half moan a lot.
Yeah, they would have got on the backs, wouldn't they? Especially, it's a weird situation. I know I kind of take the mick, but David Luiz, it's like he had a shocking week, and then a week later he gets a new contract. I do see it. In a back three, he does play well, because he's allowed that bit more of a freedom. He's always got someone alongside him. Whereas with a back four, where he's there with another centre half, if he's a liability, and then you've got someone else who Arsenal centre-halves haven't been great for the last however long. It's with Liverpool, you've got Van Dijk, who is like immense, and it does not matter who you put in next to him. There's people likened it to like a
put
big
me next to him, it won't do much good.
they liken it to like a big brother, little brother, and it's like Van Dijk can take care of, he can play alongside Lovren, and Lovren will be shocking as always, but he can cover for him. I think we should record some different scenarios with Nick, because your FA Cup final.
Let's say what a great win that was by Chelsea. And I want to say what a great win that was by Arsenal.
There's two scenarios, but unfortunately it's going to involve me recording the entire podcast very happy and the entire podcast very, very sad.
I think it's a match probably more important for Arsenal, really. I think you could almost say it sort of saves Arsenal's season, really. Whereas I think Chelsea probably would have set out at the start of the season, top 4, mission accomplished. And if they win the cup, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I think Chelsea had a great season, which I hate to say it. They've even become a bit likeable from an Arsenal fan's point of view.
Yeah, that's very weird.
Yeah.
Like, they are likeable.
Yeah. Young English players coming through, and, Frank Lampard's actually, in his interviews, he seems like a decent, humble manager.
Although he's an intelligent guy, isn't he? I think he's got like 155 IQ or something. Something like that. Don't quote me.
I'll quote you.
But apart from like the Barney he had with Klopp last week, I quite like him.
I didn't mind it.
I couldn't work out what that was.
Bit of passion.
If you're upset about the free kick being given,
well, he's not upset about that. He's more upset about there's a few people on the bench who just at the end of the day, in a heated battle, and he's got emotional. The only thing he's already come out and regret it, saying and Klopp said he'll learn from it, is once the game's over, you need to switch off. And apparently he said a few things after the game, which is not the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, he's a young guy still learning the job, and it's a big bloody job he's done to go, second job in to doing Chelsea. And it's a lot of pressure because he's still trying to fight Champions League. That was a big game for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just ironic with Lampard. It's just he's saying, first league title in 30 years and you're giving it the big one. That was his thing. Well, what happened with Chelsea in 2005? How long had it been for them? And it's, I'm sure they gave it, as he says, the big one.
Yeah.
So, as you say, it's, he's a battle, and he gets upset because the free kick probably shouldn't have been a free kick. And then, I think I put in the group the other day, like, how ironic that they got a free kick, which I don't know if you saw that free kick that Chelsea got the other day. That was just...
Yeah, because it threw Wolves, and Wolves had lost themselves for a bit.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, but, I wouldn't suggest that, I'd lose any respect for him for that.
No.
I think he's done a great job at Chelsea this year, under the situation he walked in at. Granted, it's looking a lot nicer position now going into next season.
Well, I think it's kind of helped him in a lot of ways having a transfer ban. Because he managed to sell Hazard, got a load of money, sat on that for a year, now they're spending it.
Yeah.
Brought the young players through.
Already had Pulisic signed up and ready to come in.
Yeah.
He's a quality player.
He's looking really good. I'm interested to see the permutations of... So if Arsenal win the FA Cup, they're in Europe. But if Chelsea win it, it means that Wolves go in. Yeah. But then Wolves are still in the Europa League. So if they win that, they get Champions League. So then does that then fall down to Sheffield United?
Well, we're above Sheffield United in the league.
No, you don't get Champions League for winning the FA Cup.
No, for the Europa League. I'm saying if Wolves... It would drop down to Wolves... Yeah. If Chelsea won the FA Cup,
Wolves get it.
Wolves get in, but then Wolves are still in the Europa League to be played this season.
Oh, right.
So if they win that, they get Champions League.
Yeah, which means
then
there's
you'd
a
have
Europa League
spot for Europa League.
There's a limit, isn't there? There's a limit on the...
It stays at 7. It's 7 teams into Europe.
Spurs would miss out.
No, I don't think they would.
Yeah, they would.
Well, they finished 6th.
Yeah, but your top 4 would go into the Champions League. Wolves, if they won Europa League, that would be the 5th.
No, it's a different one. I'm convinced
It's an additional thing.
Tottenham are in. Yeah, it's an additional thing.
And then it would be Leicester
But it
and
was
Tottenham
capped
in the
at
Europa
7.
League.
I thought it was capped at 7, so the top 4 are going to the Champions League.
Yeah, then plus Wolves if they win the Europa, and then Leicester and Tottenham into the Europa League.
Leicester and Arsenal if they win the FA Cup.
Well, let's be honest. Wolves aren't going to win the Europa League, so let's not panic.
As good a chance as any.
Can we have that quartered off here?
Yes.
I think Wolves are a fantastic side.
Oh, yeah, they're great side. I think they've got some great players.
Especially after their first leg result away in Olympiacos.
It's a difficult place to go,
really
that, isn't it?
Tough place to go. The food's very good, though.
Have you put that on TripAdvisor?
So if you're not tipping, the thing is, though, if you're not tipping Wolves for the Europa, who are you tipping?
For the Europa?
United.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Unfortunately.
I need to remember who's in it.
I think United have got a bit of momentum.
We've got momentum.
I don't think Wolves are a million miles away, or a million miles behind United.
Are Arsenal still in there?
Format.
No, Olympiacos beat Arsenal.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, completely forgot what happened 6 months ago.
They beat them at the Emirates.
Yeah.
I would go for possibly. Well, I won't put it past United, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
But I'd certainly maybe put Roma in there. Inter Milan have been a bit hit and miss, so they're probably the other big one in there. To be fair, as I say, Wolves have got as good a chance because, as I say, they're a good side, and to go to Olympiacos and get an away goal is very good. But I just don't think they're quite there at winning European competition yet. They're good, and I love Wolves, and I hope they carry on and don't get too destroyed by people starting to buy players because, people are going to start sniffing around the likes of Jota and Jimenez and Traore. I know apparently you guys have been, but I think I've heard you're now looking at Barnes at Leicester, who I'm a huge fan of. I think he's great. Although I thought he was missing the other day.
I don't think we'll make any big signings this summer.
You don't?
Thiago from Bayern Munich, which books the trend of what we've been doing. He's 29, but we're looking at about 25 million for him.
Right.
He is what we need in a creative midfielder, which we've not had since Coutinho left. But he's 29, and that's the only sticking point for me. The way we're going to go is just promote the youngsters. We've got good enough youngsters to supplement the squad.
Big gamble.
Well, I think Curtis Jones, he's going to have a big year.
Yeah.
He looks really, really good. Nico Williams, very good fullback. But we could maybe do some left-back cover.
Well, the thing is, if you give him 2 years, learn the job off Alexander Arnold, the rumour is then you'd move Alexander Arnold further forward.
Yeah.
And put him at right back.
Well, that's what Alexander Arnold.
Could you just concentrate more on getting Gomez to a quality sort of position where we've got a good centre back?
Well, I think
just do that for me.
Well, I think he's been on that path, but this is what I'm saying. Like since lockdown, I've seen so many of our players have absolute shockers and just not be the same.
Yeah, I had high hopes for the lad because I keep trying to think England squad. I've got obsessed. I've got a bit of an obsession about thinking about it, and my only issue is centre backs. I haven't got any in my head because I don't. Too many of them are too ropey.
Phil Jones is still knocking about. Don't forget Phil Jones.
Shut up.
Well, I can name you one for an England centre half.
And he's lining himself up perfectly for a future career at 74.
Exactly.
Well, that's what I'd do for England if Southgate's intent on going free at the back. Tarkowski on one side, Gomez on the other, and then you're looking at another centre half in the middle.
That's it. Well, if you
Holding, Super Rob Holding.
I've had a number of people quote me Ben White from Leeds at me, or now Brighton.
Dirty Leeds.
Yeah.
No, he's back at Brighton now because his loan's going to be ending. But I've heard a lot of people quote how good he is.
I've seen not rumours, but like through fan sites mentioning Ben White for Liverpool.
Yeah, apparently he's the next.
He is that kind of potential.
Yeah.
I'd probably see how he goes given a season Premier League.
Yeah, because I can't see Brighton letting him go another one. I think because I don't. How old's Dunk?
Luke might know that.
But yeah, no. But that's for another show. We're planning England squads, which I do a lot. I get really excited when I start watching like Chelsea and like Reece James is. I'm buzzing off that lad. He's quality. But
He's
yet again, another right back, which I don't need. I've got a good one already.
and Maguire would be the third centre half anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you want to dress it up.
Yeah, I know.
No place for John Stones then.
Well, this is it. I'd be interested to see where he goes because there won't be at City next year for me.
Paul Merson is saying he's going to be at Everton. Not Everton, Chelsea.
Really?
One of the blue teams.
I've had an Everton fan say he wouldn't mind him back. He'd have no problem with having him back. But that's because I think he's not particularly singing a dance about his. But then again, they've also signed a young lad from a 17-year-old lad for centre-back. Is it Braithwaite or something? That he so thinks that's something they're looking at for the future. Again, we're talking England centre-backs. Let's stop it. We're here to review the season.
Who do you think have had better seasons than you expected? I've sort of got four, really.
Four better than expected. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I think Wolves, given they've done probably more because of how well they've done in the Europa and how difficult it is, especially when you're in those qualifiers, to play Europa and Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
I would also go Sheffield United, obviously. I think they're a lot of people's tip for relegation. Tonight standing. Bruce, I think, has done a great job at Newcastle. You always look at Newcastle and think if they have a bad start to the season with everything around it, they could have real issues. And then the other one, I'm going to give a mention to Southampton because I think when they got beat 9-0 against Leicester, I think a lot of people sort of put them in for the drop.
Well, it puts it into
really well.
Puts it into perspective when teams like Watford have sacked 3 managers this season. That with Southampton, they've stuck with it, and I think it was October. I think it was, and I think 9-0 is a shocking result, but they hadn't done great up until then. But I think it's still early, to kind of judge. After it would have been 8 or 9 games anyway. I think if you get to Christmas and you're doing badly, a change over that period, January transfer window, try and do a bit better. But in October, I think they've gone about it the right way. I think they said that they had everything on the table, kind of get everything out there and let's sort some issues out, and that's what we've done. So hats off to them for that.
Southampton had the third best away form in the Premier League.
Yeah. It was their home form.
Second worst home form.
Yeah.
It was remarkable. But I agree with you, Ken. I think that they've handled that particularly well because you've seen managers sacked for less 9-0 home defeat.
Yeah.
And so the fact they stuck with him and it paid off is a real credit.
Well, have they given him a big contract or something? Or is that...
I don't know.
Yeah, he got a new deal in June.
That could be an effect of the current situation is manager longevity might increase potentially.
Because they can't afford to get rid.
Because they can't afford to get rid. Money's tight.
Well, I'm against long managerial contracts anyway. I think you lose your... I know you've got a reputation to uphold, but when you're given an 8-year contract and if you lose as many games as you can to get the sack, you'll get that contract paid out.
Yeah.
So you've got your reputation on one hand, but also a hell of a lot of money in a short space of time on the other.
I'd liken it like Mourinho. I'd love to see how much he's been paid for being sacked and leaving places, because he goes through 3 years, but he probably signs a new contract in the second year, and then it goes downhill, and then they pay 15 million to get rid of him in his backroom team. It's like, I just think I agree with you. Who was it? Pardew at Newcastle. He got a 7 or 8 year deal, and it's
only just expired.
Yeah, I was trying to just find out when the date was, but it was over lockdown.
And
it
when
was
he got
his 8 year contract,
and when he got sacked, I think must have been less than a year later. So you look at Newcastle in terms of what they've done, and Mike Ashley, and I can't see why he would first of all give someone an 8 year contract, but then to sack him a year later, it's crazy.
If you look at what Alex Ferguson was doing towards the end of his career and what Arsene Wenger was doing towards the end of his, they were just doing year by year, just a rolling contract. And I think that's how it should work for managers. I know you need that financial security because you can lose your job and that's it. But to be paid, Sam Allardyce was going into clubs, doing a good 6 months, getting a 5 year contract and bombing out 3 months later. That was in a constant cycle for him to do that. And then he tried to change things a little bit. Then he got the England job. Then we know what happened there. Money, 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 isn't it?
I mean, Sam Allardyce never has to work again.
Most Premier League managers, nowadays never do. I almost feel like, and it's probably, some employment laws out there that's probably against it, but there should be something written in that if they do get sacked, 6 months payment, that's it.
I mean, I know, like regular employment, you've got a notice period kind of worked into your contract. You don't sign an 8 year contract with your current employer, and then you can do bad performances to get the sack and get it paid off. So a notice period, 6 months is more than enough in the top flight. I mean, when you're getting a little bit low down.
Was it Pochettino was still paid by Tottenham?
Yeah, he'll still be being paid now, won't he?
I think that's stopped now, isn't it?
I think it's stopped, but I think he was still getting paid.
Because they asked him if they could stop it because of the financial situation, didn't they?
Well, he'll want it started again.
You see, I do think you've got to give managers a bit more than just like a rolling year. I think you want your manager, obviously he's got to manage in the present, but you also need to be throwing forward at a club and sort of thinking of, the season after, the next season, the one after that, the one after that. You can't just have such a short-term focus, especially with players costing as much as what they are now. It's like you look at, for instance, Van Dijk. Yeah, it run an enormous amount of money, but that is a signing which will carry Liverpool forward for several seasons.
Yeah,
it's not we need a centre half for next year. Let's sign a 32-year-old who knows what he's doing in this division for a lot of money, but we might only have him sort of at his best for a year.
Yeah,
and then next year we'll look at bringing in another one.
I don't think that is down to the contract, though. I don't think that's just the contract. That is part of the club culture. Pardew signed that 8 year contract, but at the end of the day, it's Newcastle, it's Mike Ashley. The things were going to change, things were going to flip, things went badly, of course they were going to go. If the club culture is solid, like it is at Liverpool, there were a few hairy times under Klopp, but, they stuck with him. Same with Wenger, Ferguson. There are several times where a more kind of trigger-happy board could have, certainly Wenger, I mean, the amount of times we were stuffed like 5-0, 6-0, 8-2. Trigger-happy board could have sacked him then, but it's the club culture as much as it is like just the length of the contract. I feel like we've drifted off subject again.
Yeah, I know. Since we digress so blinking well. I was like, I haven't even been able to come back on Luke's discussion of what's your teams that you feel have done better than you expected. Because I'd put Burnley in that again. I think every year.
I'm glad somebody got round to it.
Oh no, I wasn't surprised by Burnley at all.
We were. Well, I always am. Every year, I just think that they're due that moment where you think, because they don't put a lot of, it's a battle every year for that team. They have a small budget, they put a squad together, and they each play you look and think, all right, these guys aren't there's a couple of players you think, great, he's good, but they're not as a squad. You're looking at, crikey. It's going to be like Sheffield United. I think Sheffield United are the standout story of the season. And the lockdown was the worst thing that could happen to them because they lost all momentum. They lost all the sort of backing that they have at home where they were creating some fantastic results. Even though once they got back into it, they did. Because, I mean, they beat Arsenal, they beat Chelsea. They beat Chelsea. I think Arsenal had already done that, hadn't they? And then, they started putting results again that I thought, proved that it wasn't a fluke what was going on. But it was such a shame when they came back, it was so flat. I think the Villa thing knocked them down for a bit because that was mentally. If they'd have won that, they might have started from the word go again.
I think they had like a few bad results to start with, and it was it kicked off with that Villa game.
I watched them against Newcastle.
Oh yeah, they were terrible.
Yeah, they were awful. And Newcastle aren't the greatest side, but they tore them. So, but as a whole, I think Sheffield United love it. I love Chris Wilder's philosophy of football, and I hope. It's not a one-year thing because I hope if they do it, it'd be great to watch again because it's a game where you think it's almost like a better version of what Stoke were, where it's going to be a difficult place to play every time. You're not going to want to go and play Sheffield United. That's going to be a tough game. Not many people like go and watch them playing Burnley. They know they're in for a tough game. It's not very often Burnley get rolled over. It's a tough win, but you've won it. You know what I mean? It's
Luke never likes watching Burnley.
But then, I think this year, because of how little disappeared from the squad of Wolves, I knew they'd be all right this year. Yes, it's been impressive what you were saying with the Europa League, but I feel they have a better squad depth than what Burnley had to deal with that, and what other teams have been in their position where it's a new team in the Europa. I feel they had a better squad, although they didn't rotate it that much. I think was the most impressive thing about it. A lot of them,
21 players.
I think most of them played in both. So again, you got to give them credit for that. I think I was surprised how well Chelsea and Frank Lampard did. I generally didn't think I think if he'd have got top six, if you'd offered him that at the start, he'd have been absolutely buzzing off you. To get Champions League, I think it's a phenomenal achievement for a lot of the young lads there. And I think, and Southampton, credit for them as well for what you said. But I think my standout ones for me are Burnley, Sheffield United, and probably Lampard at Chelsea.
I'd probably throw in Leicester as well. I know they've had a terrible end to the season, but
I'm a huge fan of Leicester.
Up until Christmas, they were very entertaining.
They're a great squad. I've got a lot of time for them, so I knew that was possible. I
think they're a good shout for next season as well. If you look at the way Brendan Rodgers' teams have gone, look at his time at Liverpool, they got better and better. Mm-hmm. And I think next season, yes, they'll have European football, but
I don't think being in Europa would be a bad thing for them. I think they'll be.
I think it'll be a good learning experience.
Yeah, I think so. I think Champions League, they were riding on the right wave on that one, and they're going up. But I think generally, they could, if they play the way they do now and improve it slightly, I wouldn't put it past them winning that next year.
Yeah,
outside chance.
The worry for me would be, and you said it about Wolves, is especially because they've not got Champions League now, is people poaching their players. Players like Chilwell. I think Soyuncu at the back, he's a terrific centre half. Your Harvey Barnes, your what's his face, James Maddison. I think there's a little bit of a vulnerability there that there's Champions League football on offer. Could they go?
If the players buy into Brendan Rodgers' philosophy, and they are going with that, and they look at it as like a 2-3 year thing, then there's no reason why they wouldn't kind of stick with him.
And I think they are young enough that they could stick it out for a year.
I just want to throw in, I know we've been lavishing praise on Wolves, but I do have to throw in the fact that they completely bottled it against Chelsea, had a chance to knock Tottenham out of Europe.
That's more your concern. It's not the fact they bottled it, it's the fact they didn't stop Tottenham from crossing the line. I blame Palace as well, really, on that.
Yeah. How many chances did they have? Scott Dan right at the end.
Again, I love the fact Mourinho was celebrating getting Europa as if it was an absolute huge thing. But I suppose you look at where they were at one point and somehow they got that. I have no idea how from where they were they've snuck Europe because they were poor. And
I say the same about United.
I think United have been better, a lot better for like a while now since Fernandes come in.
Yeah, Fernandes looks quality. He just knits all that team together.
As I said, Kane coming back for Tottenham restart is a massive boost for them.
Yeah. But is there a risk of those two teams there? So Fernandes, has been absolute revelation at United. But if he gets injured, does that mean that the team collapses? Because they've got a lot of young players obviously kind of looking to him.
I think that's what they're planning. I think that they're looking at obviously they've got rumours of Grealish and that kind of thing. I think they're planning for someone to be his backup.
Yeah.
To have that second person.
They took with Sancho as well, wasn't it?
Him getting him into
exactly.
Him getting him into the Champions League has really helped their recruitment.
Yeah.
To get that cover for him.
The start of this season, if you told me at the start of this season that United would have finished third and had, some cracking players like Fernandes and then about to sign Sancho and stuff like that, I would have laughed at you because it's just like the state of that team.
Got to give a lot of credit for Ollie. He's kept it together a little bit.
Yeah,
to the point where
did not see that either. That Solskjaer
he's even got Pogba on side.
Well, the thing Fernandes coming in has taken that creative, I'd want to say burden off of Pogba being the only creative player, made Pogba a better player because he's. It's difficult how to put it. Fernandes is absolutely quality, and he can pick out players and make them better because them players are gonna. They know that if they make a run, they'll get a ball, and then Pogba knows that he can move. Whereas if he's in a team with Fred and McTominay, he's looked upon to be that kind of driving force, and I don't think he wants it on his own terms. He wants to be able to produce it whenever he wants, not have to produce it for 90 minutes. Whereas Fernandes can produce it for 90 minutes as his natural game, whereas Pogba kind of drifts in and out of the game and will produce that moment of magic, but by and large he keeps it simple but in a progressive way.
So are there any players who stood out for you this year? We've done like the clubs that surprised, but how about some of the players? Because I just want to have a moment for Danny Ings. I think he's had a phenomenal season and is much better than probably anticipated at the start of the year, but he's shown, what he can do and kind of the form while Liverpool signed him.
Yeah. How much different would it have been if he hadn't have got injured when he was at Liverpool?
Massively. Because he came in and it was literally Klopp's first training session. He got injured. And he'd had a decent start. I think he got like 3 goals in 6 games up until then. So he'd had a reasonable start. And I remember Klopp in his first few months saying about him when he was injured that he was, he bought into the philosophy in kind of the same way that Lallana had bought into the philosophy, and he was one of the boys. Like Klopp's team spirit. He fitted in perfectly with, and the fact that it was such a severe injury, it wasn't just a few months out. He was out for the whole season, and subsequently the following season he had problems, and it just blighted his whole time. And I was actually talking to a friend about him last night, and I said he would have been the perfect. This form, he would have been perfect for Liverpool. He was what we need, like as a counter to Firmino, because as brilliant as Firmino is as our number 9. He's not scoring enough goals, but he does create for the other players. So I think Ings, he would be a brilliant plan B, someone to bring off if we do need a goal, or someone to put up front that's, in the box, there for them chances, which I don't think Firmino quite is.
I think you're just getting greedy.
Yeah.
I hope he stays fit and gets another year in him, because I think he might have a very good shout with that kind of form. Seeing the England squad.
Well, I think he would have made the Euros anyway this year. I'd have certainly put him in.
I don't think he'd have been picked though.
Kane was injured.
Yeah, good form.
And if he would have carried that form, because he was in good form before the lockdown, he's had good form since. So
he'd certainly be in the squad as the top scoring available Englishman in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were talking about
Vardy'd still walk into the England squad if he hadn't retired.
Yeah,
but there was talk
we're not blessed with a lot of sort of out and out play up from strikers.
Yeah, we've got wide players, and like Rashford, people talk of him as a striker, but then he plays out wide mainly. But there was talk of Southgate trying to persuade Vardy to come back if Kane was out.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so I think Ings would have had a very good shout.
Yeah. I still think if he thought he could get it for next year and Vardy was still playing like he was, he'd get a shout again.
Yeah.
Did Vardy go to the World Cup?
Must have.
Yeah.
He did. Someone told me this the other day, so we're digressing here. Someone told me this, and I couldn't believe it, because I can't remember him playing one iota of that World Cup, but apparently he played up front against Belgium in the 2 games that he played against them, and came on for a little bit in certain games and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't remember him playing at all. Completely don't remember.
His lack of game time is the reason why he retired.
Yeah, well, that's because Harry Kane is the main sort of thing, isn't he? So
he only started the final group match against Belgium.
That was it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the formation, the way we play, because we've got so many good attacking wide players and central mids kind of thing, that the formation we play doesn't suit Vardy to a certain degree.
Well, when Kane's there.
Yeah, because Kane's there that fits in with the middleman, with these 2 guys bombing on like nuts. It's like, crikey. It's a shame.
Well, Vardy's got the pace, so I don't know why he can't, right inside of the 3 with Sterling on the other side.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he could play one of the 3.
He only came on with 8 minutes to go against Croatia when we were...
Yes, someone said that in the semi-final, and I couldn't remember that. But you
he
think
wasn't being used a lot. And when you sort of think he's, probably after Kane, he'd be the best finisher in that squad.
Yeah.
I think you could argue at that time, probably by the distance, him and Kane were probably clear of the rest.
Yeah.
So to only bring on someone like that for 8 minutes, especially because I think Kane really struggled towards the back end of that game, as it were.
You could tell it should have been given a go. Yeah.
Well, what other strikers were in that squad? Like, it would have been Rashford. Sterling would have been around. But any out-and-out strikers in?
No, there was no other out-and-out strikers. That's the thing.
Well, Sterling
Danny Welbeck.
Semi-final.
Danny Welbeck didn't go.
Stan's lad.
He was in the 2018 World Cup squad, Danny Welbeck, yeah.
Yep.
Jeez.
Stan's lad.
Clean the boots.
To clear the boot.
Yeah.
Crikey. I don't
helping out with the 3rd choice keeper duties.
Yeah.
5th choice striker.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's me digressing. Back to what we're discussing. Carry on.
And Jesse Lingard started that game, so we need to get back on
what a career digression he's had. Crikey.
He's still got potential. Come on.
Have you seen the bet someone had on the Jesse Lingard? That's amazing. He must have been tearing his hair out.
And 96 minutes as well.
Especially how that goal was scored as well.
Yeah. I know.
Like if he puts one in top corner from 30 yards, and fair enough, but
it's like that.
Dispossessing a goalkeeper in like the last minute of the season.
the closest I've seen to that was there was a guy that played for Vix called Kevin Townsend, and it was shocking. And I remember one of the fans made a bet with him saying, I don't think you'll score all season. I don't think you'll score against it at all. And if you do, I'll show my ass. And literally he scored in the 93rd minute with a free kick. And it was a decent goal, to be fair, at Woking away. And it was the last game of the season. So he ran straight over to him in the crowd and was shouting, get your ass out. And he did. To the whole hilarity of the rest of them, which was absolutely that. But it took him from like October when the bet was made till then to pull his finger out and score. Hence why we got relegated. Just saying.
Well, I'm going to say someone who's had a brilliant season is Lando Norris, 4th in the championship title race. Amazing start to the season.
Well, that's like Lando.
Yeah.
They're talking Formula One again.
I was completely lost. I didn't even know who you were on about then at all. Not a clue. I mean, for me, the person who's had one of the best seasons this year, Mike Corral. Phenomenal season to fill in at right back and suddenly become probably the best right back in the league. To the point where he's now been snapped up by a team 2 leagues higher because he's that good. That's a great season. There you go. Back to football.
I do feel like we've been focused. We did a little bit about non-league earlier. But we have been mainly focusing on the Premier League, and there's still some playoff games to go. How much football has been watched outside of the top flight by the group of us?
Since the Premier League's been back, not very much.
But even before the Premier League, they didn't start the Championship before.
Oh, you mean in England? I thought you meant
in England.
Bundesliga and...
No, it's more than just the Premier League in England. There's more than the Premier League in 1874.
Is there? I tell you what, I've been cheering on Brentford.
Yeah, I'd really like to see them go up because they play good football.
I thought they were robbed on
you can't be cheering them that much because they're playing it as we're recording this.
And they've just scored a 3rd goal to go 3-0 up against Swansea.
Are they?
There
Get
you
it.
go.
There you go. That's
See,
a great spoiler for someone who's That's a great spoiler for someone who's watching it through the internet.
No, it's a family thing, that one.
In 2 weeks' time when this goes on air?
You're saving up the league to watch it.
My mum's side, the family set that one up, so we always keep an eye out for them.
Do you not wait till the football season's finished and then binge the box set?
Season?
Just the whole season. You know, like how some people, a big drama, they'll be like, I can't be bothered waiting week in, week out for an episode. I'll wait till it's all finished and then I'll binge it. Do you not do that with football?
There's someone sitting there going, I tell you what, this is late this year. What's going on? I better not look just in case I find out who's won.
Well, you can't even get to match of the day on a Saturday night, let alone wait for all the end of the season box set.
How are Vizsla doing?
Just avoided relegation.
Hooray!
Hey.
But I think
Pat ourselves on the back.
Yep, absolutely. It was all down to us. Yeah, they were 5 points clear of relegation in the end. I'm gutted for Wigan to have that.
Yeah, that was weird.
Shambles.
It was weird.
An absolute shambles of a situation.
But I think in the end that they could have played themselves out of trouble, really.
Yeah, they'd only have needed one more win, I think.
Yeah.
Look at it. They needed one more point, didn't they?
In a sense, they did, because they were right down there, like at the start of the restart. They were only a couple of points above, and they had a run of really good results to pull themselves clear.
They were 12 points clear with a good goal difference.
That's the only reason this came out, because the guy...
Yeah, I'll cut that bit out.
Just saying, absolutely shambolic. EFL should be ashamed.
Say allegedly really quick, then it's
allegedly.
Right. That's how it works in it, Fonty.
Allegedly, this guy is absolutely played a blinder.
It is a fascinating story, but the chances of it being true.
Oh, no, I can see that being true. Would not put it past it.
I think you should leave this in.
You can edit this out, Fonty. You can edit this out.
Leave it in.
Beep the first bit, but I'm loving this bit of everyone else trying to save it, and Barney's, no, I'm going down this line. I'm going down it. I'm doing it. Well, that brings us to the end of this latest episode, and if you've been affected by anything you've heard, send us an email, thirdchoicekeeperpodcast@gmail.com.